Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I want to talk about a very interesting item that was data mined in patch 11.2 and that might hint towards us finally getting the Ethereals as the new allied race for either the end of the War Within or maybe the pre-patch of Midnight and the release of the next expansion, again Midnight. Of course, here, just a quick disclaimer, this is absolutely not confirmed by Blizzard, this is just some theories based on this item that was data mined, and there is maybe a huge chance that we might not get this allied race, even though a lot of the player base really wants to have the Ethereals, and with the new expansion being Midnight, and with the Ethereals playing already a big role in patch 11.2, I think it would just make sense for us to have them as a playable race, especially because they're really cool and very unique, so I think it would definitely attract a lot of people to WoW. But again, this is only a theory, so please keep that in mind. So with the release of the War Within, we've seen the introduction of a new type of items, and these are all these different Gleeful, Glamour items that will basically allow you to transform yourself into any of the playable races in World of Warcraft, including all the different allied races. And then, as you can see, you have different variations of them, and you can use that for up to 60 minutes. And here, the one thing that makes these different items really interesting is the fact that when you do transform yourself, you will really transform your character, but you will keep the same armor, the same weapons, and everything. So it is really something that will allow you to change the race, not just to use, for instance, the appearance of another playable or not even playable race. For instance, here I'm thinking about the coin of many faces that will transform you into a character but also change your appearance. So this is really an item, again, that allows you to use any of the different races in the game, and this is normally limited to only the playable races and, again, allied races as well. But with the release of all the different items and all the things that have been data mined from patch 11.2, WoW found this item right here, the Gleeful Glamour Ethereals, which means that you will be able to use these Gleeful Glamour in order to turn yourself into an Ethereal in patch 11.2. So this is very interesting because, again, as I already mentioned, normally these different items are limited to playable races in WoW, and so it's gonna be either two things. Now they're gonna do this Gleeful Glamour for all these other races that we can't play, but you will be able to transform yourself into them, and depending on how easy or not to adapt your gear to the race, then sometimes you will just transform yourself into a complete separate appearance. For instance, maybe they will also add nagas and things like that, who knows. Or it's simply the proof that at some point in patch 11.2 Blizzard is planning to just introduce the Ethereals as an allied race, and they're just, for now, keeping it a secret. Maybe, as Wohead is suggesting it, maybe it will be part of the pre-patch for Midnight, and so that's why for now it hasn't been announced yet, and maybe they will only announce it at the Gamescom, where they're planning to do a big reveal and also finally, let's say, really launch Midnight with the trailer and all of that. So maybe at that moment they will say, and with Midnight you will have the Ethereals as a playable race, and you will start being able to use these during the pre-patch, and so that's when we would be able to get this new Gleeful Glamour. Who knows, but it is very, very interesting that we are getting these, because if that's not gonna be the indication that we're getting this new allied race, why not just making it a toy? Why not just creating a separate toy that allows you to just transform yourself into any Ethereals, and at least there is no confusion in terms of what is a playable race and what's not, and the use of these different Gleeful Glamours. But people in the comments also pointed out that the fact that we're getting these as a Gleeful Glamour might also be the indication that we're not gonna get them as an allied race, and that basically Blizzard is just giving us that to satisfy us, just being able to transform ourselves into Ethereals, But this is the proof that that's just what they're going to do. And then they're going to say, well, you got that. but sorry, there's not gonna have any new allied races, or at least not the Ethereals. That could also be a possibility, even though again I think in that case it would have made more sense to just create a separate toy rather than having this item limited normally to playable race made for Ethereals. And just as a reminder, we've had so many of these new models that have been datamined with all these different armors, with all these different things you can do to customize them. And so even though of course many of them are currently being used in the game, I just think there's already so much assets that it would probably be easy for Blizzard to just add them. And even though not all the different appearances would fit because they are very specific, I'm sure players would still be happy even if you can just maybe have like the helm, shoulders or things like that. After all, we've got the drag tiers, you can only have the shoulders and head, so I don't think that would be too much of an issue. But of course, if Blizzard decide to do that, it is indeed going to require a lot of work because they will have to now transform all the different appearances that are in the game for Ethereals as well. So let me know in the comments what you think and if you believe that this Gleeful Glamour is the proof that we are gonna get the Ethereals as the new allied race before midnight or during midnight, or if you think this is just a way for Blizzard to give us what we want, which is the ability to play as an Ethereal, but kind of as a toy and not as a real playable race. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime I wish you all a great day. Bye!